Hi, everyone. We're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research. I'm Dr. Donnelly.
And I'm Dr. Hinson.
And we have spent the last several decades studying organizations, analyzing them, researching them, working within them. Things like, how do people work well together? Why don't people work well together? What do we do with conflict? How do we make sure that everyone's happy? Really, really straightforward and yet completely complicated questions that we ask for a living.
And we recognize that because these questions are so complex, that a lot of people need guides, toolkits, step-by-step directions and instructions on how to address these issues. Mm-hmm. So, great news. We've created an educational tool that we firmly believe is imperative to the life of your organization.
We know that your time is valuable and also that everyone learns differently. So if you'd like us to tell you the story of what we're going to be doing and the full thing, keep watching this video. We need about 15 minutes of your time to unpack it. If you're somebody who would rather read everything, like me, then the next slide you see after our faces disappear is going to be the address to a website where we're going to tell you everything you possibly need to know.
That's right. And if after all of this, either reading and or watching, you still have more questions for us, we'd be more than happy to talk you through any questions you might have about the course, what it's offering, and how it can help you. So please get in contact with us. There will be contact information made available wherever you are watching this video. So don't hesitate to reach out and get in touch with us. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
We believe in you and your organization, and we know that you are passionate about your people. We just want to help everything run a little bit smoother. So until next time, we're the Good Doctors, and we'll see you in a couple seconds on the next slide.
Okay, everyone. So for those of you who are still with us and have decided to watch us walk through this video introduction to our course and what's on offer, you're very welcome. We're so glad that you've decided to join us for about 15-20 minutes of your very valuable time to talk through what our new online course, Creating a Resilient Organizational Culture, is offering. So before we get too into the details, we want to make sure that we introduce ourselves. So at the start of this video, we called ourselves the Good Doctors. That is because we are both doctors, not medical doctors, but brain doctors, we say, academic doctors. So we got our degrees in the social sciences in the last couple of years. We both met in Northern Ireland, where we did our PhDs at Queen's University, Belfast in Northern Ireland. My background, Dr. Hinson's background, is in imprisonment studies, and Dr. Donnelly's background is in gender and women in religious spaces. But we have both been in the academic world studying cultures and people for quite some time. So we have around 30 plus years of research and business experience. We were both working in various fields before our postgraduate degrees and now after them. So we've racked up a lot of experience. So this means that we're trained to analyze organizations really quickly. We are trained to ask questions, complicated and simple ones, and we are trained to solve problems.
It's very handy for you guys because we know all the research tells us that 70% of the people in your office are bored, which is less than ideal. So what does 70% of your folks being bored means? It means that your staff is disengaged. It means that potentially your leadership is ineffective because they're disengaged. You could be the best motivator in the world, and if they don't want to be motivated, it doesn't matter. Our guess is that you also have interpersonal and interdepartmental conflicts. People are not invested in making everything work, and so they just don't care if it does. You're probably having issues with discrimination, bias, and harassment. And the other flip side of if your folks are bored, if you're saying to us, doctors, I don't have any of these problems, that could also be a problem because it just means no one cares enough. Because and therefore your productivity is definitely suffering. Your company isn't growing. and your company isn't adapting to emerging markets, for instance, we're being told that by 2022, most business decisions will be based on personal relationships rather than factual basis. How is your business ready to handle that? All of the things we just said, and the fact, it's the baseline fact that only 30% of your folks are engaged, costs you time and money, and we are sick of that on your behalf.
So what would it look like if 70% of your staff were engaged? We want you to do a little thought exercise here, a visualization exercise, and pretend how many of these problems would be solved? What would that look like? What kind of changes would you see in your work culture and your office environment? What could you get done that you aren't accomplishing now? How much more productive could you be? How much more creative could you be? And perhaps most importantly, for your interests, what competitor could you put out of business? Imagine the potential and the possibilities if 70% of your workforce was actively engaged in your culture and in your mission and goals every single day. And we know that you can get there. And the really great news is that we also know how.
We do indeed. And one of the first steps in how we know how is what we're talking about today, which is our 14-week, just so you're aware of the time up ahead of time. It's going to start on March 11th, and it's going to run through the middle of June. Everything's an hour. So 14 weeks, 14 hours, unlimited change. So we're telling you it's valued at about $10,000. What the heck does that mean? And what does it take? So for the very, very first week, you're going to start off with an introduction. We're going to take the baseline pulse of where you are so that you have context for the rest of the work. Then we're going to move right into one of the most foundational things that we found with our client work and also in the organizations that we've worked in. Does where you say you are going actually match where you are going? So we're going to double check your corporate vision strategy and your corporate activity that they agree with each other. Then we're going to talk about the importance of accountability, because even if that vision and strategy match right now, how are you making sure they're always going to match? How are you making sure that everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing, and things are getting done? Week 4 is where we're going to talk about adaptability, because overall we believe that cultures are like a healthy culture is not something that ever really exists. You're going for resiliency. And so a huge part of that is adaptability. And so we're going to have a conversation about that. So the first 4 weeks of your time, we're all going to get to know each other a little bit. Then we're going to talk about vision and strategy, accountability, and adaptability.
So that gets you through the first 4 weeks of our course. Week 5, we will be talking about a whole host of issues that have to do with gender, harassment, equity. So we're going to be drilling down on things like equal pay, discrimination in the workplace. What does it mean to have bias? All of that's going to be covered in week 5 to make sure that you're on the right track with those very, very important issues. Week 6, we're going to be looking at personality traits. So Dr. Donnelly is a fairly stereotypical extrovert, and myself, Dr. Hinson, is a fairly stereotypical introvert. If you don't know what we're talking about, that's awesome, because we're going to tell you. And we also believe that their personality traits are one of the most important personnel issues that people really aren't talking about enough. So that takes us into week 7, where we will be looking at the impact of generational and cultural differences. So why millennials are still being talked about, even though the newest people coming into the workforce aren't even millennials anymore. So we're going to break down all the generations. We're going to talk about cultural differences you can expect in your office because of those. Moving into week 8, we're going to look at how all of these wonderful differences between your people, gender, different people are different, generational differences, these can all lead to a lot of conflicts between departments, between leaders, between the hierarchy of your organization. So we're going to look at conflict transformation and conflict management in week 8. So the next 4 weeks will be week 5, gender. Week 6, we're going to be talking about different people being different, which is one of our catchphrases here at Abbey Research. Week 7 is generational differences, and week 8 into conflict management.
So then after all of that, the learning is not over, guys. Don't even worry. So we head into week 9 and we're going to talk about emotional intelligence. And you may be hearing about this as EQ instead of IQ. And one of our contentions, the research shows it, is that emotional intelligence is the most important skill set that your people possess that affects your bottom line that you're not talking about. So we're going to have a conversation about it. Then we're going to talk into the fact that every single corporation, whether that's like Comcast on down to somebody selling widgets out of their garage, has a language all their own. They have buzzwords they use and acronyms. And one of the problems with that is that we use words all the time and we don't sometimes stop to remember what they mean. So we're going to have that conversation. Then we're going to talk about guiding you through the internal and external messaging. That may sound really strange, but this is a little bit of a drill down into what we've talked about already with making sure your vision and your strategy match. We're going to make sure that what your customers think you are and what you think you are the same thing. And so we're going to have that conversation. We're also going to wrap everything up in this particular chunk of time with all that stuff. Week 12, we're coming into the end, and we're going to give you tips for active listening, because one of the major themes throughout this entire course that you're going to be taught is the importance of asking questions. Well, what's the use of asking questions if you're not actively listening for answers? So there you go. So 9 through 12, we're going to talk about emotional intelligence, language barriers, marketing language matches, and then the skill set of active listening.
All right, so to finish out the course, our final lesson is going to be on building creativity in your organization, because we feel that is a huge part of building resiliency in your culture. So that takes us through our 12 weeks of lessons, and week 14 is going to be a wrap up where we share our final thoughts. It's going to be a lot more reflexive, where we talk through the key lessons and takeaways from the course overall. So you get 14 weeks total with 12 lessons in this course, all with direct applicability right to your particular organization or culture. You will also get email and Voxer support from us. If you don't know what Voxer is, it's a fantastic little app that's like a walkie-talkie. So you can walkie-talkie us a panic question when you don't understand something in a lesson, and we'll be there to answer that question and help support you through it. And at the end of the course, when we're all done, you'll get a follow-up Zoom chat with us to cover all your final questions, to make sure that you're not leaving anything unanswered when you're finished with the course. And all of that totals up to a whopping $10,000 value. It's a remarkable amount of stuff chucked in to this handy dandy course that we've come up with.
But good news for you, we don't charge you 10 grand. So we are so convinced.
Don't panic.
Like, don't panic. I mean, if you want to pay 10 grand, we will tell you where some lovely charitable causes that could use that money. But
we will give you our bank account details.
But realistically, we are, as we've said in the beginning of this video, absolutely to the core of our being convinced you need this course. Every organization in the world does. So we've slashed the prices. Between now and February 15th, you get the whole thing for $1,200 if you do the 3 payment plan. If you pay us in full, if you're like, ladies, I trust you, here we go, and you just give us the cash, we're going to knock some more money off of that, and we're going to give it to you for $997. So if you buy between now and February 15th, what does that include? Well, you're going to get full access to the course, as you should. We're also going to throw in 4 free 2-on-1 sessions. That Zoom chat that Dr. Hinson talked about at the end of the course, we're going to give you ones throughout the course so that we check in with you and you talk through what's going on. We're also going to give you a coupon to our digital summit, which is in the fall. We're going to be gathering practitioners and fabulous people from all over the world for a couple days to talk about resiliency, and you're going to be there. Additionally, and this is exclusive, we don't offer this to anybody else, really, like ever. We're going to give you an opportunity to be part of our Cuppas and Convos video series where we sit down and shoot the breeze. And you're going to join us and you're going to talk about your organization or perhaps your love of Harry Potter. Pick a feature. We're going to have a whole conversation and you're going to be part of it. Also, between now and March 11th, you may be thinking like, I mean, like I could buy now, but I mean, March 11th is at least 14 years away. So what am I going to do? Well, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're going to get an email from us, quick, simple, cheap and cheerful, with a couple reflection questions and some ideas to help center you and prepare. Also, that handy dandy little walkie-talkie app Dr. Hinson mentioned, we're going to turn it on for you now. So as you're thinking about things, you get instant access to us, which honestly is worth the price of admission alone because we're amazing.
So what do you get with the course? We talked about the breakdown for each of the lessons. So you get that 14 weeks of structured content. We estimate that the work per week is going to take you around an hour. I mean, that is a rough guess based on how much content we've created and the workbooks and the lessons that we'll be providing. If it takes you more or less than that time, that's totally fine too. We want you to be able to take your time as you're going through this course. So if it takes you longer, there's no shame in that. We want you to get the best possible learning experience out of that. So each week you will get a video lesson that's going to help you learn through each one of those topics that we talked about. You're going to get a workbook along with the video lesson that's going to ask you a lot of reflective questions about your own work experiences so that you can relate that topic to your own life. And then we're also going to be providing case studies from all different kinds of fields and organizations and people who did things well and people who did things not so well so that you can really get into the meat of each one of these issues. At the end of every 4 weeks, we are also going to be throwing in some additional resources based on the themes for each 4-week chunk of our course. So we'll be giving you even more things to help grow your learning through that process.
So, we've all been in
sales
pitches before, let's just be honest. And usually at this point, you're thinking like, oh my gosh. I mean, if you're still listening to us, hopefully we've intrigued you enough that you're here.
Thanks. We're glad you're still here. So
we're trying to think of maybe some ideas, some reasons that you wouldn't want to join us on this. So perhaps you're not even sure what the problem in your organization is. Well, good news. We're going to teach you how to ask stronger questions, and you're going to get to the root of the problems quickly, efficiently. Nothing ever in business is painlessly, so relatively painlessly. But things like, if there's like 2 or 3 coworkers that are just at each other's throats all the time, you may think you know what the problem is. We're going to teach you to make sure you know what the problem is.
Another thing that we think you might be thinking is, who are these people? I saw them for a few seconds at the beginning of the video, and now their disembodied voices have been talking to me this whole time about how much money I'm going to be spending. Like, why should I trust them? We have, as we said at the beginning, but really just to hit one more time, we've been teaching, training, and thinking about all these topics for over 30 years, both in the business and academic world. We were both teachers when we were still in academia, so we have a lot of experience developing course content and syllabus and analyzing complex ideas and transmitting those complexities in ways that are manageable and understandable. So we're not just the pretty faces you saw in the slide. There's a whole heck of a lot of brains coming in behind those smiling faces.
But you don't have to believe us.
We have included in this pitch a couple of testimonials from some of our beloved past clients. And so give you just a second to read through some of the things that Tara Murray had to say about us. But what I love about this one particularly is that we're also the best kind of people. Wasn't that nice?
That was so delightful.
That was so kind of her to say. But we wanted to include these just to show you that we're not the only ones out there that think we're awesome. And Jack Nelson as well with WorldLink International used the word wise, which we would like to consider that we are, particularly because I, Dr. Hinson, am a Ravenclaw from the world of Harry Potter, and they are known for their wisdom. So I will take that compliment to heart. So that's pretty much all we've got to say, but we really just want to ask you, do you feel like you're ready to start creating this resilient culture? Like, if you think everything we've said so far really clicks with some of the problems that you're having in your organization and you feel like we can help, we'd really love to be able to take this journey with you. So you'll see the link here below for the entire sales page for our course. Remember that early bird rate is going to expire as well, so get on that deal while you can.
So you may still be thinking like, I don't have time for 14 weeks of work. Like,
Boy,
what are you talking about?
That sounds like a lot.
It's a ton. But here's the deal. We've designed to take 14 hours. That is less than a season rewatch of any drama. We said Grey's because that one seems to suck us back in.
And last forever. Grey's is the show that never ends.
It and Supernatural. They'll be around after the apocalypse.
How many hours have you spent watching Grey's Anatomy?
I don't want to add it up, but not enough to justify not working on my business.
That's
so
right.
the other thing are like very serious question is how many hours do you think you've wasted in the last 6 months solving petty office conflicts? Our guess is that it's more than 14 hours. If it's more than 14 minutes, you need to take our course.
And the other thing that we really always feel, especially when we're looking at purchasing things for our business, we understand that a lot of times costs can be prohibitive or you feel like it's not something that's attainable. So if you're thinking you can't afford the bottom line cost, one thing that we always talk about with our clients is the average employee costs 21% of their salary to replace them. 21%. I feel like that just needs repeated several times. We repeat it very often when we're in business meetings, when we're talking with clients, and they're dealing with any sort of cultural issue that can then lead down the road to issues with retention and turnover.
And that's even before you pay the new person's salary, which in between those times, there could have been a huge jump in the market value. So, I mean, 21 is the least amount of money you're going to pay.
And for us, when we're thinking about the value that we're bringing forward with this course, we really almost could guarantee you that this course will always be cheaper than having to constantly replace the talent that you're losing. If you're losing them because they're disengaged, if you're losing them because you have a problem child in the office who's creating a lot of conflicts, whatever the issue is that's contributing to your retention issues, this course is going to be way cheaper than constantly going through that cycle.
Both in time and money. So here we are, guys. I mean, this is
we did it. Yay!
This is as honest as we can get. We understand that there are so many people competing for your time, attention, and we respect that we might not be the right fit. However, we really believe we are.
It's true.
We'd like to help. And if you're looking at all this and you've heard us waffle and think like, man, I'm just not sure. The good news is you can go ahead and get a hold of us and we'd be happy to answer any more questions. So that bit.ly link that you've written down, hopefully already, is the direct sales page. Dr. Hinson will flash it up one more time. bit.ly/AR culture. You have to capitalize A, R, and C in that, just so you know. But if you'd like to talk to us directly, up on the screen now is a link to our scheduling bot that will let you book a conversation. And we'd be happy to talk you through why we think this is the best decision you'll make in 2019. So we look forward to talking to you, to helping you ensure resiliency within your culture. And until then, I'm Dr. Donnelly.
And I'm Dr. Hinson.
We're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.